Key, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about you? What do you think of our movie?
I loved it. I got to see a press screening in New York City last week, and it was chaos, like in the best possible way. And I'm wondering, when you got this script and saw that you'd be multiple versions of Wayman, that there was an entire multiverse of opportunity in here. What was your first kind of impression? Like, what really drew you to the project?
Well, when I first read it, it was one of the happiest reading I've ever done. This was the script that I wanted for many, many, many years.
Mhm.
It didn't exist. And that's why I had to make the difficult decision to step away from acting. For more than 20 years.
Mhm.
And sorry, my phone is ringing.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So when I read it, not knowing what it's about, and as I was turning the page, one after the other, and then realized it featured, a Chinese American family. It was incredible, and the script was beautifully written, and I felt Wayman, this character, was written for me.
Mm.
And after reading it, I wanted to be part of this so bad. I wanted this so bad. I called my agent. I said, please do everything we can to help me land this role. And I went and auditioned for the Daniels the next day.
Mhm.
I was super nervous because I haven't done this for more than 20 years. I haven't auditioned for anybody for a long time. I thought I did really good. Didn't hear from them for 2 months. Any like hope I had of landing this was gone, was completely gone. And then all of a sudden I got a call again. I went into audition for the second time, and saw them enjoying my performance, thought they liked it, really happy. And then when I left, I saw another Asian actor waiting in the lobby to read for the same role. And I go, oh my gosh, okay. And he was taller, better looking. He wore a suit. He looked like he freaking walked out of the GQ magazine. And I'm like, oh man, I don't think I'm gonna get it. I think that guy's gonna get it. So I went home, called my agent, and I said, very sad. And I said, oh my God, you know what? I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm so sorry. I tried so hard. And then 3 weeks later, I got that call. And it was one of the most happiest, it was the most amazing call I've gotten in a long, long time.
Yeah. Well, it's a murderer's row of a cast too. It's you, Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis, James Hong. Like, you got like, how was it coming on a set? And then I say this knowing that your very first movie, you're working with Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford, but like, how is it coming on to this set and finding like having like Michelle and them like right there doing a lot of her own stunts? Like, how is it joining that production?
I remember the first day of shooting.
Mhm.
We were in the iOS building in that, in that cubicle.
Mhm.
In front of me was Jamie Lee Curtis. Behind me was Michelle Yeoh. To my left was James Hong.
Mhm.
And I looked around and I had a moment of panic attack. I go, holy shit, these are all legendary actors. What the hell am I doing here? And after that first shot, I walked up to the Daniels. I said, Daniels, is there anything you want me to do? Like, is my performance okay? Like, anything you want me to change? And they go, no, you're fine. And we kept on shooting. And I remember one day I finished a shot, and Jamie Lee Curtis is always by the monitor watching. While she's not shooting, she's at the monitor. And she saw it. She came up to me, gave me a really long hug and a big smile, and says, Key, that was fucking incredible. And getting that praise from her meant so much to me. I walked on set the next day with total confidence, and that's how I finished the movie.
Yeah.
It was a joy to work with all of them. Even though we had a really tight shooting schedule, and every day there was a lot to get done,
Yeah.
but we really enjoyed ourselves. In fact, every morning we would all get together, the cast and crew, and we would either do a warm-up exercise or we would dance to music to get everybody's mood going. I mean, that's what that set is like.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's a really fun shoot.
Well, you were mentioning like the tight production time, and I was talking to Tim about like coordinating the stunts and everything. And I mean, Wayman gets to get on the action before Evelyn does. Like you get to, you've got the fanny pack kind of nunchaku sequence. Like, how was it getting in on the action and running these stunts in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, I studied Taekwondo for many years, but the fanny pack fight sequence is a style called wushu rope dart. And it's a style that if you don't practice it as a kid, it's very hard to master. So I trained with Tim, our stunt coordinator, and then the Marshall Club boys who, brilliantly choreograph all those amazing fight sequences.
Mhm.
I trained with them for weeks. In fact, I brought the fanny pack home and I was like practicing and swinging them around my neck, around my shoulder constantly and constantly breaking things. My wife wasn't too happy. But luckily, I think, all that hard work paid off. And when we were shooting it, it was only scheduled for 1.5 days, including all the drama, all the dialogue leading up to it.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have the luxury of, like a Hong Kong movie or like a Jackie Chan movie where you keep on shooting until you get that move perfect. Every shot was like, we were averaging 2 to 3 takes. And that was all the time that was allowed because we had so much to cover. So it was tight, but it was fun for me to do too, because for many years, I was behind the camera. I was helping, an action director named Koi Yuan choreographing a sequence and watching him shoot it, watching him put it together. But it felt very familiar with me. But this time I just wore a different hat. I wore the actor's hat.
Yeah, no, I think about those fights and like the one and everything, all the Jet Li fights, and it's just like, oh my god. But then we see Wayman like right in the middle of it. But in filming in a like an office building, do you think that helped your performance in any way, getting to like be in this like converted space for the shoot?
Well, I think that was the only way for our movie to be completed. It was a thick script. We had a lot to shoot. And we just didn't have the luxury of going to, many different locations. So we shot the majority of the film in a building, an abandoned building in Simi Valley.
Mhm.
And yes, like you said, I mean, just because we were there so often, we were there constantly, and having that, being comfortable in that environment and having that sense of familiarity certainly helped, not just for me too, but also the entire cast and the crew. And yeah, and that's that was the only way we could do it was with limited location.
Across all the different versions of Wayman that we see, be it the slick kind of like almost movie star-esque like mogul, or running the laundromat that we see for most of it, what was the one, if there was only one, but what were the big threads that you wanted to be sure that were there across every single version of Wayman?
Well, for me, when I got the role, and I realized that I'm not just playing one character, I'm playing 3 versions of the same character. So it was very important to me from the very beginning that the audience can distinguish these different versions, and I'm treating them as they're different characters. I hired an acting coach, a body movement coach, a voice coach, a dialogue coach to help me prepare playing this character. And then also, I mean, they're physically demanding, and second, it was also emotionally demanding too. And to get myself in that mind frame, I mean, I really reached deep within me and look, at all those decades of my life. Going to places where I was really happy, and also going to dark places where I was very sad. And I poured my life into these 3 different characters. And yeah, so for me, it's hard for me to separate them because they're all me. I feel like they're all parts of me in different parts of my life, different phases of my life, and also at certain times, when I need guidance, when I needed to lean on something, I would lean on one of them. So yeah, that's how I did it.
And there, I think that emotional honesty, my mother is a Korean immigrant, I see a lot of that kind of that personality, like in Evelyn and everything. That was something that definitely struck a chord with me right from the beginning of the movie. But and you really go there with Michelle, and you just, you just wrapped with her on another project. What is your, like, how is that kind of level of trust and having her as a scene partner for those more emotional scenes amidst all this chaos? Like, how was it working with her?
It was incredible. She did her first movie in 1984 in Hong Kong, directed by Koi Yuan, who I had the pleasure of working with. But also in 84, that was my first movie when we did Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So we actually started around the same time, but just in different parts of the world. And I've always been a fan of hers. I've seen every single one of her movies, and I waited 38 years to unite with her on the screen. And when we first met, there was that instant, chemistry between us. It was very palpable. And I think it's because of, I had extreme admiration for her. And for her, I mean, she's just this nice, down to earth, generous, humble, really fun person that I love to spend time with. And we share a lot of the, because she worked in Hong Kong in her early years. And those were the movies that I watched growing up in my, in my formative years. So I was very familiar with, and we share that history together. And in a lot of ways, we, not only do we speak the same language, she speaks Cantonese as well, and so do I, and we both speak English, but also I think we share, a lot of that history together. So it was really fun. And I'm so happy, and I feel really blessed to have this movie as my comeback movie after so many years, and to be able to do it with this amazing cast and our amazing directors is incredible.
Yeah. As a quick aside, and mentioning Indiana Jones, I feel like Short Round was the first Asian character I saw, like, on the screen, that, so as a Korean kid growing up, that meant a lot. I even have like storyboards from the movie, right? See, like, there you are.
Oh, wow. I love that. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Like, that movie meant a lot. Like, you and your character meant a lot. But in coming back to, with this as your comeback, this and like Finding Oana, when you have that much time away, was it intimidating going back? You had mentioned the audition, but was it intimidating going back, or was it just like riding a bike?
I was really nervous, to tell you the truth, before I stepped in front of the camera. I guess I was lucky that I did Finding Ohana. I have a small role in that, so that was kind of like a nice warm up for me. But I also spent a lot of time prepping for this role, this Wayman. And once when I stepped in front of the camera, all those wonderful memories that I had as a kid on the set of Indiana Jones and the Goonies came rushing back in. Mm-hmm. And I remember having, like, a moment to myself standing in front of the camera, and I felt this. I was really comfortable. I felt happy. And this is why I wanted to be, and this is where I felt like I belong. It was, it's been more than 20 years. And honestly, I was also nervous because I didn't know how the audience would react to my return. They haven't seen me in a long time. The last time they saw me, I was a kid, Yeah. So, but ever since our movie came out, and hearing and reading all these wonderful and positive, reviews and comments, has really warmed my heart, and I'm overwhelmed with emotions.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good having you back. You really are kind of like, you're the through line, because Wayman knows, at least, he's the one that guides us into this wild, wacky world of everything, everywhere, all at once. And after coming off working with Steven Spielberg, Richard Donner, may he rest in peace, like, how was it working with Daniels?
It was incredible. It was really, in fact, I remember, I'll tell you this story. The first time I auditioned for them, mm-hmm. I was in the room, and I'm acting, and they were behind the camera giving me notes, directing me. And in that instant, it felt so familiar, because that's what Steven Spielberg did. Whereas I was on set, because he would constantly be off camera telling me what to do, giving me notes while the camera was rolling. And being directed by them, it's wonderful. They're so smart. they're really talented. They know exactly what they want. They wrote this amazing script, uh, and they are fun directors. They're very collaborative. They're very open to us actors giving notes, giving suggestions, trying different ways. And it's a lot of fun. And I mean, you can see the movie, and the movie speaks for itself. They did a freaking amazing job. You know, it's a beautiful movie. They're able to balance all these things together. Uh, and 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 to pull, I mean, I haven't done it for so long, so to be able to pull that performance out of me, it's really, I mean, that speaks volumes to how great they are as directors.
Yeah, you were saying in other interviews that it was Crazy Rich Asians that wanted you to get back in the game. Having had the benefit of time and perspective working behind the camera, what was something that you were mindful of with that experience coming back in for Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Uh, it was very different, but it was also very familiar, and I'll tell you why. Back then, we did all those movies with practical sets. There were rarely any green or blue screen. You walk on set and everything was there. And the Daniels chose to make their movie with practical sets as well too. We only had 1 day of green screen, and that was mostly for the bagel. But everything you see, it was there. So I was very familiar walking to their set again, because that's what I was accustomed to when I was a kid. Uh, the only difference I would say is that we had the luxury of time back then. Those movies are shot over a 6-month period, versus our movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. We shot over 38 days. 38 days, 38 shooting days over an 8-week period. So it was a lot tighter every day. I mean, we just need to move along. And even though we were working tirelessly on this movie, you know, we never stopped having fun. It was just a great shoot. It was a great crew. All the cast, I mean, there was zero egos. We all love each other. Everybody, you know, walked on the set with humility and with love, nothing but love and kindness for one another. Very, very much like Wayman.
Right on. And you know, I think that love and that fun shows off on the screen. I can't wait for more people to see it. Key, that is my time. It is a genuine pleasure to get to talk to you. Like I said, you were the first Asian face I saw on the screen, and that was something that has always stuck with me. And it is super great to have you back. I can't wait to see American Born Chinese, dude.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Nice talking to you.